Always All In podcast with your host, Stefan Catalan. What up, it's your boy, Stefan, with the Always All In podcast, and I'm here today because I have value to bring. It's not every day that you get to meet a man that knows a thing or two about life and bringing value and has information that is life-altering, pivoting, shifting, transformative. And I say that speaking for myself because this guest has impacted me in a positive way. Mr. Courtland Warren, tell him who you are and what you do.
Well, first off, thank you for that kind introduction. I mean, look, that introduction was sounding so good. I was like, man, who is he talking about? I mean, I want to go listen to that dude, right? So really and truly, thank you for the opportunity to share with you and to learn from you, but also your guests, your community. I never take it lightly when someone invites me into their community to share with their people. You know, I really look to not call them followers because only leaders are doing work like this. Leaders are the people who are listening to podcasts such as this. And so thank you for inviting me in to share with your community. My name is Courtland Warren, and I have been in the personal development and transformation world as a professional speaker for close to 20 years now, but I really feel like I've been doing it my entire life. Started a lot like a lot of little boys are, in that I wanted to be just like my dad, and I was looking for ways to be like him, model him, and though I didn't grow up with him. And so what that led to for me was a conversation kind of that I didn't realize was going on, Stefan. But really, I was looking to answer the question of how can I be more, do more, have more, such that my dad would be proud. And when my dad, years after he had left, suggested a crate full of personal development books, I started reading them because my dad had given them to me. And in them, I found so much truth and wisdom that I wanted to figure it out enough to share it with my extended family. And from that sparked, a world that I'm both grateful to be a part of, honored to be a part of, in which I feel like I've distilled some of the information into what really matters, the principles that really work to support people in being the best version of themselves. And so thank you again for the opportunity to be a part of the podcast. And I look forward to what we're going to learn and discover from each other today. Thank you.
You're welcome. And what you just mentioned about your father and him leaving that behind. Now, I seen something through your social media of a post from your son. And what it read in there was, hey, son, what do you want? I don't know if it's Christmas or holiday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you want Santa to bring you? Right? Yeah. That was my oldest son. Yeah.
And he relays like, Dad, just coach me through this or teach me something here. Seeing that, Pops brought you this and you have this now to pass on. Like that seems like the biggest gift, that you are here for your son and you have an opportunity and you get to give whatever it is that you have in your mind and your heart for him. What's that like?
It was an honor, man, really. And let me be, for your listeners,
right.
I want to, just give a little backfield. I didn't grow up with my dad. Yeah. I didn't grow up with my dad. My dad left when I was 4 years old. It was my mom, my sister, and I. I had 28 first cousins growing up, most of whom didn't have their dad at home either. And so I grew up in a real small town in southeast Oklahoma where the railroad tracks literally separate the city east and west. I lived on the west side of town. All the Black people will say lived on the west side of town. On the east side of town, it seemed like everything there was good. All of the positive things, it seemed, were on the east side of town. So, McDonald's was on the east side. Now, some may question it whether or not McDonald's is a good thing, but for us, growing up, McDonald's was a good thing. Walmart was on the east side. School was on the east side. When my mom went to pay bills downtown, it was on the east side. And it seemed like all that was positive was on the east side of town. We were on the west side of town. Growing up, there were the haves and the have-nots. And my family, it seemed, we were in the have-not line. All I wanted to be able to do was change lines. Now and again, I would talk to my dad. Not often. Now and again, I would see him. not often. He had another family that he was, supporting and raising. And so I felt a lot of times alone. I felt isolated. I felt, unwanted, unworthy, not deserving, and so forth. Around the 9th or 10th grade, he and I were in more regular communication. And at the time, he was installing glass. That was his job. He, window tint, glass, both commercial, residential, fixing your windshield and so forth. And he mentioned that some of the largest homes that he went into of, like wealthy people, he mentioned that those people always seem to have a library, not a bookshelf, a library. And he figured it as a common denominator of highly successful people. And so I asked him, I said, well, what types of books are in there? I'll go to the library and see if I can figure out how to be more successful. He was like, well, I don't know. Next time I'm there, I'll look and see. That was 9th or 10th grade. Well, at the state track meet in my junior year, it was the first track meet that he attended. And after that meet was over, he says, I've got something for you. I didn't know what he was talking about, Stephen. And he said, just follow me over to the truck. The rest of the team is getting on the bus to leave. I was so proud, excited. My dad has something for me. And so, my shoulders are back, my chin is up. I'm walking there with my dad. And he, from the back of his truck, his work truck, Frank's Glass, I'll never forget it, Frank's Glass. And he reaches the back of the truck and he hands me this crate full of books. And I'm like, he said, this is what I've been able to see. Here, I asked some of the people for some books for my son. Here you go. And so I take this crate of books with me back to the bus. We had just won the state championship, the team's celebrating. Right. And I'm looking at the first gift I remember my dad ever giving me was this crate of books that, so it was a gift that wasn't even wrapped. And so in the crate were books like Think and Grow Rich, Les Brown, It's Not Over Until I Win. Right. How to Win Friends, Influence People, The Power of Positive Thinking. So I open these books up and I'm starting to read on the way home. When I get home, and I'm making a long story longer, but when I got home with this crate of books, my mom asked, where'd all those books come from? And I said to her, oh, Dad gave them to me. I saw him at the track meet. I'm really excited. And immediately her response is, get him out of here. Okay. I don't want anything in here from him. Get him out. Now, I had read a few pages and I was already starting to like what I saw. And so, but mom's word was, it's solid, it's done, right? So take the crate of books out of the house. My grandma essentially lived behind us. And I walked through a little trail to get to her place. And behind my grandmother's house, I put the crate of books, I covered them with a blue tarp. And one by one, I would go through the books, through that crate. Those became my book reports. My mom didn't know I kept them. She didn't ask what I did with them when I got back. My grandmother never knew that they were back there. And so that's what started my kind of journey in personal development. Years later now, to your question, my son, and it's interesting for those of you who are parents, it's for those of you who are parents, it's like mom or dad can say something and, they're not listening. A coach or someone else can say exactly what mom or dad said. Right. And it's like they've heard it for the first time. So I was already having that experience. Well, he's old enough now. He's starting his professional career and he's in sales. And part of his sales training was to read a book that I had assigned him one summer when he was out of school. Right. Like, what? I've already read this. My dad had me read this. And so that for him was some confirmation that maybe dad knows a little bit about what he's talking about. And so last year when I was asking him, just jokingly through a text, what do you want Santa to bring you for Christmas? He said, All I want is a one-on-one conversation with you over dinner so that I can ask you some questions about how to develop a mindset for success. I know you teach it. I know you teach it around the world. And I'm like, my dad is right here. And so all I want for Christmas is that conversation with you one-on-one. And it was, to your point, it was definitely the greatest ask I've ever had. And, it was a wonderful conversation. He came with notebook and pen, had some brilliant questions around what I had experienced and learned around assisting people in developing a mindset to create a fulfilling life. So I know that's a long version, but I just wanted to provide some context.
Yes.
About.
Man, that was from start to finish, it's a beautiful concept in itself. My dad passed away last year, and he said, son, I'm going to teach you what to do and what not to do. It's up to you to pick how you do it. And so with that, in the concept was he knew what he knew. And he taught me what he could, and that was it. And for Dad, in your case, Pops brought you a crate of books. It's like, I have access to this. This is what I know. It's up to you to figure it out. And it's something that caught your interest. And had Dad not done that in that pivotal moment, would it have stuck the same?
Right. Who knows? Right. Who knows? I'm very grateful for him. And, I'm also grateful to myself for being willing to do that work. No doubt.
Always finding the silver lining, right? Because, as we're growing and we find the success and the patterns and, there's a whole nother route of it. And I think that next shift is where other place of being mad and holding all this anger and resentment, being resistant, like it is a whole nother side of the world. And just working with you, that I was able to see a pattern that I had that I didn't realize I had. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, man, mom would drop me off at school, and me and mom are super comfortable talking about this concept. And she dropped me off at school. There were days where third, fourth grade, and she wouldn't come for me on time. And all the kids at school were taking the bus, and their parents were picking them up. And, I'm sitting there with my backpack and I'm waiting on mom. And after repetition of that, I start to think, man, what's up with me? Why isn't my mom here for me? And with that, what I developed as an adult, I would start to do that to other people. I would say I'm going to do something and I know that I can do it. And then I wouldn't do it. And what I realized in the process is that I was feeling pain. I was hurt. And in a way, putting that pain and hurting other people, like I wanted them to feel what I was feeling, because I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel validated in that. Like anybody saw that in me, just being out there by myself, and where it came from for me. I stood up for my mom with Dad. He went to, Pops went to a university that's a little more isolated, I would say. I like to plug into the interview here and just give a little bit of context on what I mean when I say I stood up for my mother. And I think it's important to understand that my perspective of my parents when I was a kid, roughly up until second grade, was that they fought a lot. And I was having some trouble with a teacher in second grade, and she sent me to a counselor. And I told the counselor what was going on and how I was feeling. And when I got home that night, my father wasn't there anymore. This is when he took that long extended period of time to this quote unquote university. And from that, I seen it as when I was vulnerable and I spoke up, that people then leave me. In that concept of standing up for mom, this sequence of events happened after that. So I created in my mind this story that when I stand up, people leave me. And so as an adult still, I stopped speaking up. I stopped standing up for myself. I stopped standing up for other people. I got quiet. And so it impacted me for such a long time. And I didn't realize that those things were underneath there. So going into these highlights that I get to see now, and I get to use them in a positive way from Dad and Mom. However, had I not crossed those bridges at some point in my life and seen where they came from, then who knows where I could be. I could still be at chapter 6 of my story here. And, I could, down the road, this is a novel that I'm putting together here. And
right. I like that.
With that. And so, like, what is that first sign that you would say that gets triggered out there?
Well, and thank you for your willingness to share. My experience is that The feeling and the emotions are the signal, right? There's a difference between noise and a signal, right? We can have background noise, things can make sounds that aren't necessarily signals, right? And so the emotions, the feelings are the signal, and being able to put words to what you're feeling is some of the greatest work that you can do, particularly for young people. If we were the greatest gift, one of the great gifts that you can give a child or a young person is to be able to assign words to what they're feeling, so that when it's going on, when it's happening internally, they're able to know what it is. And our feelings and emotions are a frequency of vibration, and we attract into our lives what attunes to or what resonates with the frequency of vibration that we are most predominantly on. And so, like right now, here in my home in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm not able to hear it. However, if I were to bring a receiver into this room, I would be able to pick up whatever is being played on the radio in a several mile radius. I'm not able to hear it because I don't have the receiver, but that doesn't mean that it's not available in the ether. Our feelings and emotions are the frequency. It's like the channel that we are attuned to. And depending on what our most predominant feelings and emotions are, that's like the music, so to speak, of our lives that plays on that particular channel. And so if I wanted to change if I didn't like the music that was being played and I wanted to hear talk radio or I wanted to hear sports radio, then I would simply change the channel. And then when I change the channel, I'm changing the frequency of vibration. Well, it's the same for us as human beings. When we look at the results that we have in our lives, one of the ways that we can begin to change what we're seeing and the outcomes and the results is to change our attitude of mind, because when we change our attitude, we change our feeling, and we change the frequency of vibration. So we have to be aware of the signaling that's happening. Now, a lot of times, though, where this is a challenge, because some of the miscommunication that has happened over time is the idea that, when you are in a place of feeling and emotion, it can sometimes be viewed as weak. It can be viewed as soft. It can be viewed as not tough enough. And so we condition ourselves not to feel. And we stay in the conscious level of mind that's really cerebral and practical and pragmatic, and A plus B equals C and so forth. And we stay in that place because we erroneously believe that that place is a place of comfort and I can control outcomes as long as things are predictable, when in truth, we actually stunt our growth. And so we're stunting our growth by remaining, in that place of consciousness versus allowing ourselves to feel and experience the people, the events of our lives, and use those feelings and emotions as a signal to move forward. So to answer your question, like, what do you do first? You first got to be tuned in to the emotion and the feeling and allow that to be the guide. Now, around resentment and resistance and what are quote unquote negative emotions, I'm using air quotes for those of you who are listening to this, because there's no such thing as a negative emotion. Feelings are feelings. How I express the emotion is either positive or negative, but to feel the feeling is not positive or negative. The feeling itself is neutral. So when I'm experiencing resentment, it is because I have an unbalanced perspective. Just like when I'm experiencing infatuation, it is an imbalance or unbalanced perspective. See, the law of polarity, Stefan, says that in order for anything to exist, then its opposite must exist also. So in order for anything to exist in the world, then you must also have its opposite. For example, you don't get up without down. You don't get in without out. There's no left without right. There's no light without darkness. So when a person says to you, man, oh, it's all good, it's not exactly true. All good can exist. Just like you can't have all bad. All bad cannot exist. So when I'm in resentment, I've come to know that when I'm in the place of resentment, I am imbalanced in my perspective. I'm seeing only negative and no positive. Kind of like what you were saying earlier. Likewise, when I enter a new relationship and I'm all infatuated with him or with her, and things are just going great and everything they do is so cute and fun and lovable. And then after I've been with them for a while, the thing that was cute in the beginning now annoys the hell out of me, right? And so what nature has it set up that in order to get us back into balance, if I find myself inflated, then nature kind of brings us down. I found myself down, then we have to find ways to raise our vibration or bring ourselves back up because it exists from a place of balance. And the law of polarity commands that be the case. So we got to first pay attention to what we're feeling or what we're experiencing, because that's the signal necessary to get us into balance. And
that is it. Like from that, I mean, what it sounds like is it's yin and yang is there for a reason. Like
that's exactly right. Yeah. We wouldn't exist without it, right? We would not exist without it. Right. And so a person who has this infatuation of being a multimillionaire, and then once I have the money and I'm going to be a multimillionaire and I won't have a care in the world. They clearly don't know many multimillionaires, if they know any, because that multimillionaire will, I was at a mentor's home and, I was really just enamored with his home and I was complimenting him on his home. And I stayed there a few days. And after a few days, I noticed that there was someone always there. And so, we're out by the pool and I'm talking to him. I said, man, there's always somebody at your house. Like he said, this place, there's always a repair person. There's always something to be fixed, something to be repaired, right? And I could sense his frustration. Now, he had the money to handle it, but the frustration that came with scheduling, maintenance, right, brought things into balance or into perspective. And so you cannot have all good. It is impossible for anything to be all bad. We've got to be willing to, from a place of maturity, see the balance. But in order for it to exist, it's got to have both. That's just how it is.
Right. Just understanding that. Yeah. The quicker we surrender to that concept, the faster we can get moving. And speaking of moving on into another stage of it, how to clean or work or do the maintenance, but at the same time, be of service.
Right. It really is about, one, understanding that adversity and challenge visits everybody. This idea that, you can get to a level of success where there's no adversity and challenge, that in and of itself is fantasy.
Right.
Okay. So adversity visits everybody. One of the things, though, that we can all do is prioritize our day. And, we schedule or we schedule what we value or what we value, we schedule.
Right.
Most people haven't prioritized their day. And because their day isn't prioritized, meaning what are the things that must get done today? Because their day is not prioritized, then they're easily swayed by distractions. Right. Or if I don't prioritize my day, then Stefan and the things that he wants to get done and the things that I can support him in doing, then my day is now used to support him because he was more clear than I was. So one of the things that you can do is schedule the things that you value. Person says to me, oh man, my family is the most important thing to me in life, most important thing to me in the world, my kids and my family. I said, awesome. All right. May I see your calendar? And sure, they pull the calendar out. And when we look at the calendar, I notice that they have all of these appointments for business, but they have no time blocked out for their significant, for their husband, their wife, their partner, their children, right? And so I asked the question, how many times have you said no to something that you had promised your child because you had business-related things to do? And they're like, well, yeah, got to handle business. It's okay. And how many times have you canceled a business meeting because of a promise that you had previously made to your son or daughter? Well, those are less often. I said, so regardless of the words that are coming out of your mouth, right, I contend that what you value is what you schedule.
Right.
And so if you can point to the fact that you rarely or have never rearranged or postponed a business meeting because you had 30 minutes or an hour blocked out for your son or daughter, but you can count to numerous times where your son or daughter had to wait because business took priority, I make the case that your priority then is actually the business.
That's super key, especially for people who are building out their goals. It sounds like it's pertinent that they also have the values foundation underneath it.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly we don't even have to argue it.
Right.
We don't have to debate it. I'm just saying. Listen, it's not necessarily the gospel. Right. It's not necessarily even true. It's just in my experience, I find that what we value, we schedule.
Right.
And the things that don't get scheduled are easily moved around. And so one of the ways that you can live life more effectively is through prioritizing the things that matter to you the most.
I think that's important because either you're building your empire for you or somebody else is using you to build theirs.
That's exactly right.
And so if you don't got it set in stone and you ain't working towards it, then somebody's going to find somewhere to put you. And then you find yourself.
Right. That's exactly right.
Man, Courtland, we've been blessed enough to have you here just sharing that wisdom that you have to bring as always. And the way you articulate, like it is second to none in my book of how you can just see, process, and then put it out. That is a skill set that is contendable by nobody. And,
I appreciate that.
Can admire that. So if people want more of you, what is a platform? What is a route that you communicate?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. They can contact me through you, YouTube, Facebook page, Courtland Warren, or Courtland D for DeCarlo. Warren is the, more like the business page.
Right.
But I'm pretty accessible. I don't, there's some different, viewpoints on that. I'm working toward building, a base of people who just gravitate towards, my ideas and so forth. Here's my view on it, right? All of us have a truth to share.
Right.
And unless I'm speaking out, unless you are speaking out, and whoever you are who's listening right now, there's something that you have to share. And if you don't share it, then the people who are looking for you will never know where to find you.
Man.
Unless you are willing to be brave enough to open your mouth. You're not going to get everybody. I am absolutely okay with the idea that not everybody will resonate with me. I am an acquired taste, no doubt about it.
Right.
However, those who will gravitate, right, they will know and they will tune in, just like with your podcast. We're not going for everybody.
Right.
We're going for those who gravitate towards Stefan and appreciate his message, his delivery, and what he's offering to the world. So if there's been something said or shared that resonates, vet me out, see if whether or not I'm consistent, and you can do that through Instagram and Facebook. Now listen, don't get all twisted. If you look and see that I haven't posted in a few days, I haven't posted in a week, I am not applying a business strategy here. Okay. I only share when I believe it's of value.
Right.
And so if you go to my page and see that I haven't posted for a while, that doesn't mean I'm lazy. I get that some, approach this from a complete business strategy perspective. I'm just not in the business of wasting time. Yours are mine. So my promise is to share when I believe it's of value. And you can do that through the kind of the more common social media channels.
Yeah, and speaking of that, there was the value that you brought via a platform I was scrolling through, not on the sites that you just mentioned right now, but through something that is monstrous in the social media world, which is Goldcast, and seeing you tell a beautiful story on that, on a stage and a platform. And just the way you were up there and everything I've already praised for over and over on the way you articulate to tell that story and get that message to what it looked like was over 1 million people at that time on the views, to be able to reach that and be that source or that plug or that vessel, whatever it is, and put that out there, man. What did that experience of having a platform like that feel like?
Well, honestly, and I mean this not egotistically,
Right.
it felt like it has felt since I was in the 10th or 11th grade. I'm one of those, 20-year overnight successes. There will be people who, I'm confident, like a million, goal cast views. That story of the balloons is one that is near and dear to me, because I needed to believe it in order to get out of where I grew up. I needed to believe that within me, there was something that made it possible for me to have the life that I wanted. I used to believe that there was an esoteric being I called God, who was picking and choosing who got to have a good life.
Right.
Stefan, you get to live in abundance. Courtney, you get to have an okay life. Brittany, your life you're gonna thrive. John, is gonna be tough. Courtland, is gonna be hard. I used to really believe that there was someone who was just kind of picking and choosing, and then I learned that there were principles to be applied. And so it was an honor to be a part of Goalcast. I remember, they reached out and asked if it was okay to use it, and I'm like, "What? Goalcast? Hell yeah, go for it!" Right? And so it was that was a dream come true, as well as the TED Talk.
Right.
TED Talk was like my Super Bowl, and for a speaker, that was like my Super Bowl. So we're just continuing to plug along. Do the work, apply the principles, do the work, even when you don't feel like it.
Right.
And that's what I would encourage your listeners here to do: is you do the work even when no one's looking. Right. Do the work. Be in integrity with yourself. Integrity is more than just whether or not you tell the truth. Integrity comes from the math term integer, and integer is a whole number. So integrity is about wholeness, so that what you think, what you say, what you feel, how you act, they all align. Right? Make sure that they all align. If you've ever had the experience of you said you would do something, well, you said yes, but you really wanted to say no, right? Even if you go through with it, you were out of integrity because the alignment wasn't there. You said yes, and as soon as you said yes, you regretted it. Or some have had the experience where you said no, but you really wanted to say yes. Can I help you out? Is there anything you need? Can I support you? No, I got it. I'm good. I'm all right. And then you end up moving your entire house by yourself, even though you had friends who were willing to help you pack. Because maybe you said no because you didn't want to be a burden. You didn't want to, be in the way. You didn't want to be a bother, whatever the case might be. So be in integrity with yourself. Make sure that it aligns. Make sure that what you're saying you want and what you're working on a daily basis, make sure that they match. Because when it happens, when you're in alignment, when you're in integrity, it does not mean that it's going to be easy. It does not mean that it's going to be without adversity and challenge. At least the work you're putting in, you can do so with confidence. You can do so with some assurance that the work that you're doing is going to lead you to the outcome that you want. And we don't get to say how long it takes. We do not get to say how long it will be. Okay. But make sure when the time comes, you're ready because you've prepared, right? Because the truth is, opportunity will embarrass the person who is not prepared. And the opportunity comes your way, but you're not prepared for the opportunity, you get yourself embarrassed. So make sure that you're doing the work so that when the opportunity comes, you're able to maximize it because you're doing the work when no one was looking, when no one saw it, when no one was paying attention. You were doing the work so that when the opportunity arises, you don't get embarrassed because of lack of preparation.
Man, oh man, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Courtland D. Warren in the house, tying it all together. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Courtland, we appreciate you having you.
I appreciate you. And thank you for the opportunity. Listen, I know you have some more questions, but I'm a speaker, man, for a living. That means I'm going to get a little winded, okay?
Yeah.
So let's do a part 2 or part 3 so I can get all my stuff out and you can ask your questions. But for now, thank you again for the opportunity to share with your listeners. And to the listeners, if you got value here, tell someone about this podcast. I know this gentleman. He's resilient. He's persistent. and he lives the work. And it's not a game for him. It's something that he embodies. I know him personally, and it was an honor, man. It was an honor to be a part of the podcast. And thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
There you have it.